Iran reopened its airspace after a near 5-hour closure amid concerns about possible military action between the U.S. and Iran that forced airlines to cancel, reroute, or delay some flights. Iran closed its airspace to all flights except international ones to and from Iran with official permission at 5:15 p.m. Eastern Time, 22:15 GMT on Wednesday, according to a notice on the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration website. The notice was removed shortly before 10 p.m. Eastern Time, or 3 o'clock GMT, according to tracking service Flightradar 24, which showed 5 flights from Iranian carriers Mahan Air, Yazd Airways and Aviation Airlines were among the first to resume over the country. At a similar time last week to the airspace closure, there had been dozens of planes in the air over Iran, Flightradar 24 said. The temporary closure came as President Donald Trump has been weighing a response to the situation in Iran, which is seeing its biggest anti-government protests in years. The United States was withdrawing some personnel from bases in the Middle East, a U.S. official said on Wednesday, after a senior Iranian official said Tehran had warned neighbors it would hit American bases if Washington strikes. Missile and drone barrages in a growing number of conflict zones represent a high risk to airline traffic. Indian Airlines among those affected. India's largest airline, Indigo, opens new tab said some of its international flights would be impacted by Iran's sudden airspace closure. Air India said its flights were using alternative routes that could result in delays or cancellations. A flight by Russia's Aeroflot opens new tab bound for Tehran return to Moscow after the closure, according to Flightradar 24 data. Earlier on Wednesday, Germany issued a new directive cautioning the country's airlines from entering Iranian airspace shortly after Lufthansa opens new tab rejigged its flight operations across the Middle East amid escalating tensions in the region. The United States already prohibits all U.S. commercial flights from overflying Iran, and there are no direct flights between the countries. Airline operators like Fly Dubai and Turkish Airlines have canceled multiple flights to Iran in the past week. Several airlines have already reduced or suspended services, and most carriers are avoiding Iranian airspace, said Safe Airspace, a website run by OPSGRUP, a membership-based organization that shares flight risk information. The situation may signal further security or military activity, including the risk of missile launches or heightened air defense, increasing the risk of misidentification of civil traffic. A Ukraine International Airlines jet was downed by Iran's military in 2020, killing all 176 passengers and crew. Lufthansa said on Wednesday that it would bypass Iranian and Iraqi airspace until further notice, while it would only operate day flights to Tel Aviv and Amman from Wednesday until Monday next week, so that crew would not have to stay overnight. Some flights could also be cancelled as a result of these actions, it added in a statement. Italian carrier ITA Airways, in which Lufthansa Group is now a major shareholder, said that it would similarly suspend night flights to Tel Aviv until Tuesday next week. European airlines avoided Iranian and Iraqi airspace on Thursday, Reuters reported citing flight tracking data, despite Iran reopening its skies after a brief closure a day earlier amid fears of possible U.S. military action. KLM is currently avoiding Iranian airspace as a precaution, a route we already rarely use. Last night's closure of Iranian airspace, therefore, had no effect on our operations. A KLM spokesperson was quoted as saying, Iran closed its airspace for nearly 5 hours on Wednesday before reopening it, but airlines continued to take alternative routes. British Airways owner IAG said BA flights to Bahrain were cancelled through January 16th. Wizz Air said avoiding Iran and Iraq could force some westbound flights from Dubai and Abu Dhabi to make refueling and crew change stops in Cyprus or Greece. Germany issued new guidance on Wednesday cautioning its airlines against entering Iranian airspace, after Lufthansa adjusted Middle East operations. Carriers diverted over Afghanistan and Central Asia or used longer routings to reduce operational risk, according to Reuters. U.S. President Donald Trump signaled on Tuesday that he was leaning toward a military strike on Iran when he said Iranian protesters should keep up the demonstrations and that help is on its way. Trump said on Wednesday he had been informed that the killing in Iran has stopped and Tehran would not execute any of the protesters. At least 12,000 people have been killed in Iran in the largest killing in the country's contemporary history, much of it carried out on January 8th to 9th during an ongoing internet shutdown, senior government and security sources told Iran International.